a few things. We're going to start with actually uninstalling a program. And you can see I actually have the programs and features open, and there was nothing there. And that's exactly how, if you install Windows, just Windows, you will have just Windows. You won't have any bloatware. It'll show just like you saw. So to get to this, you click on your start button, and we're going to right click it, and you'll see we have this control panel that we can select. You can also choose this programs and features. It's a little bit more direct to choose programs and features, but you can get to it through the control panel. I'll go ahead and do that first, and then you just select uninstall a program. That takes you right into your programs and features, and you can see again there are no installed applications. I will install an application to show you how you would install that, and I'm gonna go ahead and just right click the start button again and show you that programs and features takes you to the same place. It's control panel, programs, programs and features. But if you right click the start button, you can choose control panel and then go to uninstall a program here, or you can right click the start button and go to the programs and features here. Takes you to the same place, and you can see there is nothing installed. So I'm going to go ahead and install a program just to test this and show you what it would look like and then how you could uninstall that. Okay, I've selected to install 7-zip, and to do that I just went to Google and I searched for 7-zip. 7-zip is a program that lets you extract folders. It's just like the zip file, but it does a lot more, so it's more feature rich than the Windows 10 program to unzip folders, and that is now on the desktop. And you can see I saved it here. It's right here, and to install that all I have to do is double click it. But I do want to show you, it's here on this web page. I went to 7zip.org and I selected to download it. And when I select download, it pops up, and you can see it allows me to run it here. I could click run here and it would install, or I could tell it to open the folder, which is the desktop folder, which would install, or I can select where I saved it, which was the desktop. I can just double click the icon, or right click and run and open, or run as administrator. And you can even control shift right click. I'm going to tell it no here. Control shift right click, and you can also run it as a different user. And it's, say for example, you have a limited account or a guest account, but they have a piece of software that you did want to install. You could control shift right click, run as a different user, and install that as a different user. So now I'm going to install 7-zip, and you can see we do see a pop-up from UAC, user access control, or user account control, I'm sorry. And you can see it's asking, do you want to install this program? It's great to know that you're going to be installing software, and we can tell it yes, we are sure that we want to install this. It asks where we're going to install it. We'll install it to the C program files 7-zip folder. And now you can see it says it is installed. So all we have to do is close this dialog box. And once that's closed, we can use 7-zip. I can right click and a file, and 7-zip is there, and it lets me compress a file, or I can add it to a compressed 7-zip file and I can send it through email. And I have lots of options to perform with 7-zip, but also it will now show up in our programs and features. And you can see it is now in that programs and features, and now I can remove this. Say for example I didn't like 7-zip, all I have to do is click it and then select uninstall. Once you select uninstall, it pops up the uninstaller that is for the application. Each uninstaller may look different from application to application because each application builds their own uninstaller. You can just select uninstall here and close. Bloatware is going to have a manufacturer's name on it usually. It'll say something like Sony or HP or Lenovo or things of that nature. And if those are features that you do not use, I would recommend removing them. And this is exactly how you would remove those from the computer. Okay, and now we want to update the drivers, the BIOS, and the firmware. To do that, you would generally go to the vendor's website to download whatever driver that you need or whatever driver that you're missing. So what I will show you now is how you can see what drivers you have on your system and the Microsoft way to update them, and then also how you can get them from the manufacturer's website. So let's start by right-clicking the Start button, and we will go to the Device Manager. You can see it's here. It's the fifth thing under that option, and under Device Manager you can see I am missing this base system device. And because I'm using a virtual machine, this device is not available. But let's look at some of the items that are here. For example, we have the computer, and let's take a look at the display adapters. We're using the Microsoft Basic Display Adapter. Generally speaking, you do not want to see this. If you're running an actual computer with an actually, let me open mine now on my real computer and bring it into frame so that way you can see it. This is the control panel for the computer I am actually using to do the recording, and not my virtual machine that's back here. You can see under the device manager, I can look at the display adapters, and I have an NVIDIA GTX 670 in the computer, and I can right click and I can select to update the driver software for that driver. I can also click on properties and click driver and see what driver version I am using. So that way I can do some research and see if there's a new version of my driver. If you look at the driver date here, you can see I do need to update this driver. Usually, especially on a video driver, drivers come out quicker than this. This is pretty old, so I need to go ahead and update this. So I'm going to go ahead and download from NVIDIA's website this driver. I'm going to go there now. Alright, now I'm at NVIDIA's website, and I will select my country. And then I will select the support. Drivers are here on the left. Drivers are generally listed under the support section on web pages, but actually on the NVIDIA site they are here. And you can see GeForce drivers, and it asks you what kind of card this is. And we saw that from that menu that we were looking at just a moment ago under the device manager, what kind of card we have. And that is here under the device manager. And you can see it is an NVIDIA GTX 670. So let's select, it is an NVIDIA GTX 600 series. And then we select our operating system in the drop down. Almost every manufacturer website works this way. You will choose what operating system you're on after you tell it what kind of hardware you are using. And let me just drop down to the 670. And I choose Windows 10 64-bit since that's what is installed, English, and all. And I can select start search. I can also download this driver here, this GeForce Experience, and it will automatically detect that driver for me. But since I'm already on the site, I'll go ahead and download it here. And you can see it shows me the results, and it says the latest release of this driver is March 1st, 2016. So as you can see, there have been a few revisions since mine, which was updated back in August. So let's go ahead and select to download this driver. And you see it started the download here. And once this is done, I'm going to click it and tell it to install. Alright, now it's finished the download. I just click here and it opens. And I select yes. And you can see it asks where it's going to go. Very similar to the last installer. It's going to go into the C folder under NVIDIA, Display Driver, 362, Windows 10 64, International Driver. And let's select OK. And it's going to extract that file into that location. Once that's extracted, it will apply that to the driver here. And it's just going to copy an INF file there. And once it's installing, you can see just select next, and it's going to do the install. And it takes a little bit of time to do the install. So once this is complete, I will unpause the video, and then once this is complete, you will see the driver version has changed, and also the date for the driver will have changed. Okay, and that has finished, and you can see the NVIDIA installer has finished on the screen. And let's go ahead and select to close, and you can uncheck this if you don't want a desktop shortcut for the NVIDIA GeForce Experience. I have one. I don't need one on my desktop, so I'm going to uncheck that. And also, I don't necessarily want to launch that NVIDIA GeForce Experience now, and I'm just going to uncheck that and close it. So that's installing a driver, and there are multiple drivers, and the ones that I would recommend that you focus on for updating your system and updating the drivers on your system are the display driver and also the chipset driver. Actually, let's go ahead and right click this now and look at the properties for this, and it shows that the driver date is 2/23/16, so it did update our driver, and our driver version has changed. So I'm going to go ahead and close this now and look at the driver for the chipset.